all, I'd like to address these points to you personally as the chairman. I don't want any input from the other gentlemen in the room, apart from David Gunnell, only because I saw the behaviour at the last meeting. It was pretty atrocious, and I don't think it's acceptable to see what I saw on video, but I'll come on to that in a moment. I just want to make some points about the agenda, because still on the agenda it says that residents are welcome to join the meeting, please book in advance. It's one of the things that we were told had been corrected, that there would be no requirement on the agenda for people to book in advance. It deters people from coming along to council meetings, so it shouldn't be on there. And it's confirmed by the chairman of, I think it was a 4 council meeting previously, that wouldn't be on there anymore.
Yeah. Sorry, Annette. I mean, we can definitely take that away.
Yeah.
And yes, I do recall we did say that.
Yes, you did.
Are we, numbers-wise, and I know we've only got 6 seats up here, but we can fit far more people than that in. And if it comes to a point where we would have to turn people away at the door, then it would be a first come, first served basis.
And that's all that needs to go on there, but
yeah.
Not that it's a requirement to actually book in advance.
It's always good if somebody's got a specific question that would help us being able to have more time to answer, then that's the only reason really, I guess.
I appreciate that. It just deters residents, and we've had a few issues with it. And also downstairs, there was nothing on the doors to when people come along who aren't used to coming along to council meetings as to where they go. So you've got the front door, it looks all blacked off, because obviously it's the hall downstairs is not in use.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to say the meeting's upstairs and which room it's in.
Yeah, no, we've got the signage pointing to the Wigan room, but in essence, we could take that.
Because there's people who come to Portishead, they're new. Some of us who've been coming here for years, we know, but they don't know. Yeah. And they'll see the front door, see it locked, and they won't bother coming in. I think they've got the wrong date. Very quickly, before we get on to the other subjects, with regard to the Lake Grounds Visitor Survey, is that for North Somerset Council?
We wanted as a town council to have input into what it is that is being decided to do at the Lake Grounds, with the provision for the toilets and the refreshments and everything else. So we thought it was really important that we North Somerset didn't have the kind of the survey as part of what it was that they were doing, apart from something that they conducted last year. We wanted.
Well, you both did one actually. You both did consultation surveys. So yeah, I'm just a bit confused as to why we're now in another visitor survey when that time could be spent doing something more proactive. Because you did a consultation, a very thorough one. So did North Somerset Council. I'm not saying that their survey was necessarily unbiased. A little bit like the parking survey, which was signed off by the executive. So I'm just a bit confused as to why Portishead Town Council are doing that.
It's more from our perspective, the more input the better, and it makes sure that we're actually capturing all, like I mentioned, all of the different demographics of the visitors that we've got, the various different times of the day, and over a span of the most recent visitors that we've got. We just want to make sure that obviously the consultation and the suggestions that were made by North Somerset last year are not necessarily appealing to everybody. The lakeside.
I think you've got to look at the outcomes. So in order to do a survey, you've got to be able to express what the outcomes are going to be from that survey. And so if the outcomes aren't made clear, then the survey becomes a little bit sort of pointless.
Yeah. It's a professional company that's actually been engaged to provide the survey, and they're also doing the analysis of it.
A consultation company?
Of the
I'm happy to say more about this. It's a collaboration between North Somerset Council and Portishead Town Council.
But who's paying for the consultation survey? Are we paying?
It's a shared cost.
It's a shared cost.
Okay, so we've done something before, but we're paying for it again. I do appreciate what you're saying, and I'll look into that a little bit more rather than waste your time tonight. But I'm a bit concerned that we've done one already, and now we're paying as a town through our precept to do it again, and we're also paying through our council tax. So that's a little bit concerning. Waste bins. I've got this real beef on waste bins because for years I've said in these meetings that waste bins are not fit for purpose, and they're not separating recycling. If we're supposed to be looking after our environment, we do not have bins that you're recycling, and 9 times out of 10, the bins that are in the high street, they come along, and we had it confirmed last time, they go to landfill, and that's not very good in this day and age.
I believe that the contract that is now in place actually does provide, it doesn't separate it, it doesn't need it separated at source, i.e. in the bin, but it does get separated, but I'll confirm.
Would
that
you?
with
I'd be very grateful, because I'd be very surprised if they do separate everything that's in that bin. Okay, and I'm a bit confused about something else, and I'm going to say this very respectfully to you, Councillor Blackmore, because I do think that you've presented yourself to the public very well. So on the agenda tonight it says the residents' meeting. Now we were led to believe via videos at the last meeting that the residents' meeting could not be discussed at town council meetings, which is the very place it should be discussed. So I'm curious as to why the residents' meeting is actually on the agenda, and if it is on the agenda, then can we talk about it?
I'm not aware of the restriction that we've got between the meetings. I thought it was at my request that this remains as part of the Community Matters agenda, because it's the items that were brought up from the residents.
But if that's the case, which is what we thought, if that's the case, then residents should be able to talk about the residents' meeting at town council meetings. Whether it was the Portishead Residents' annual meeting or not makes no difference. Yet Mr. Smith at the last meeting and Mr. Maltby were actually not just stopped continuously from talking, but Mr. Smith was actually verbally abused, and the behaviour towards him by a gentleman who sat in this room was absolutely disgraceful, and I think that the majority of people who've seen that video cannot be failed to be shocked by it.
I will find out specifically what the requirement is as to whether we actually report on the Portishead Residents' annual meeting at the meeting or a town council meeting. From my perspective here and now, I wanted this to be part of the agenda because it's important that we maintain the momentum of the actions that were cause for concern that the residents did actually bring up at the meeting.
So we can bring up items on the Portishead Residents' meeting tonight? Because it's a Community Matters meeting.
Yeah, we're actually not allowed to update anything at the moment because of the restrictions that we've got on the elections.
It's not about political things though. PERDA relates to political things, that people are going for a by-election.
Yeah,
that's not what this is about. This is about correcting the incorrect information that was given at the Portishead Residents' meeting when it was actually hijacked.
We've as a town council, we've currently got vacancies that are being filled at the moment, so it could be deemed by people as being political. So that's why at the moment we're excluding any of the points that we've got, but we will address them come the next community.
So straight after the by-election, residents will be able to come along to the Community Matters meeting and raise the items that were of such concern to them at the Portishead Residents' meeting. And can you put that in the minutes, please?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's why we wanted to maintain the momentum on this. Sorry.
Just to clarify, my understanding was that this meeting was the vehicle to take forward the issues raised by residents at the residents' annual meeting. So what has happened is a series of notes were taken from that meeting.
Well, they were taken by your party political leader. They weren't taken even by a resident. It was pretty disgraceful what went on at that meeting. I don't want Councillor Whitfield to actually interrupt on this, because it's really crucial that if as a council that meeting was hijacked and things were actually spoken about in that meeting that were incorrect, that Paul Gardner spoke about, I have to name him because he's your party leader. So residents have got a right to be able to come along and correct the things that he misled that meeting about.
Bear with me 1 second, Roger.
I don't think his input is actually relevant to this.
I would like to come back to the chair on this.
Okay. At that meeting, at that meeting, what we wanted to do was to prepare an update to the residents. We're not as accessible, and we're not as we don't update the public as much as we should do, which is why we're trying to take the engagement forward.
No, I appreciate all of that, but that's separate. We're talking specifically about the Portstead Residents Annual Meeting, and let's be fair, few residents were able to talk at that meeting because not only did time run out, people walked out of that meeting in disgust as what was going on. And I think it's something that does need to be raised. We can't just brush it under the carpet, and we also can't leave it for another year to actually raise those items. Having had the barraging against Mr. Smith and Mr. Mortby at the last meeting to say that people couldn't talk about it, it's very surprising to see it on the agenda tonight. I wanted to highlight that hypocrisy and the irony about it. So I think it's very important it goes in the minutes, that people can at the next Community Matters meeting after the by-election come along and talk about it. Not that I don't think they should be able to talk about it now, because it isn't relevant to Purda and it's not relevant to the by-election. It's something that's really important, and if that meeting can be hijacked in such a way to give wrong information out to the public, to abuse the public, then the public should be allowed to come along and correct those items in a timely fashion, not when it suits the council.
No,
and I know you're in a difficult position, but you are a member of the same party.
I personally believe we should be engaging with all of our residents all of the time. That is my belief.
I appreciate what you're saying, actually. I think you come across as a personable chair. You really do. You've got nothing to be worried about. You've come across really well. It's not your problem, actually, what happened at those previous meetings.
I'm aware, but...
Do you not think that's enough, Annette?
Could you just keep out of it, Councillor Whitfield? Councillor Blackmore's managing this really well. You keep out of it.
And then you have the chair in tears, and I don't think that's acceptable.
That's not caused by us. We're speaking. Thank you, Councillor Blackmore. We're speaking, and in fact, she's actually relating better than you have ever done. You're relating really well, and which is why I praised you at the very beginning. So it's not down to the public, Councillor Whitfield, as to why Councillor Blackmore's upset. She's probably upset because of what happened at that residents' meeting and what's been happening since.
No, I'm sorry.
Don't put words in people's mouths and that.
You're in a difficult position.
I am in a difficult position, but I'm upset at the moment for personal reasons.
Right, thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate that, what you're saying. And I would like it made clear that nobody in the public gallery has caused that upset, which is what the gentleman over here was actually trying to say. I appreciate what you're saying. If it goes in the minutes, then that will be fantastic, because we do need to correct what was said at the meeting. I would just like to ask one thing to finalise that. After the conduct, and again, this is not really in your remit, but it's a Community Matters meeting, but after the conduct at the last meeting, I would like to ask Mike Johnson, is he going to apologise to Ken Smith?
No.
I think
because that's what a lot of the residents in this town expect you to do.
I'll need to ask you to stop at that point, because obviously that's a completely different situation that's being dealt with.
It relates to public participation, you see, and so at the last meeting, when that resident was trying to raise things that were pertinent to the residents' meeting, the aggression that was shown towards him by councillors sat in this room was unacceptable. I just want that on record, please. And I'll actually email you separately about some of the other things.
No, please.
And I'm sorry you're having personal things. We appreciate that, because you're coming across as someone who is, as I said already, personable, you're relating to the public, and we understand that because we know how upsetting it can be when things go on outside and inside these meetings, and that's the human side of the council that we like to see. So you're doing a good job. I think sadly there are others who aren't. But thank you very much, Councillor Bluntmore.
No, thank you for your time, Annette. We are all here to do the best jobs that we can. We truly are.
Well, sadly, I don't believe that for some of the other ones sat in this room, but I know that you are trying. And also, it's not long since you've been a councillor, and there's been a lot of upheaval in this council for various reasons. And what we would want to see, we've already lost 2 fantastic councillors, Councillors Aldridge and Churchill, and not because of anything that the public was saying to them, but because of other reasons that we know about. We would hate to see another councillor like you leave because of other things that are going on within your political party. Thank you.